I'm striving to get rich. That's why I almost went 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little proud.
Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And unfortunately, the regular season of the NFL has come to an end. So today's power rankings will be the end of the regular season power rankings. Not going to make this intro long, so let's just go ahead and dive right into this video. First, we got the Washington football team. Now, before I actually rank, I'm not going to make this based off who made the playoffs and who didn't. I'm actually going to base this off of actually what I see, who I think is better than who. It's not about who made the playoffs and who didn't. It's actually about who is better than who. What team is better than the next. It's nothing to do with who made the playoffs and who didn't make the playoffs. So first, Washington. I'm going to put them at, I'm still going to put them at a D. I'm sorry. I'm going to put them at a D because offensively, so many questions at the quarterback position. The defense is, I think, one of the top defenses in the league. The front seven is very, very good. The defensive line, I think, is elite. But as far as offensively goes, this football team has a lot of questions to be answered. Outside of Terry McLaurin, who's going to be that outside threat this week against Tampa? So I'm going to put them at a D. Next, we have San Fran. I'm also going to put San Fran at a D. Mainly because they had a lot of injuries this year. They had a ton to deal with. Even though they played extremely hard in every game, it was just the level of talent with all the injuries that they had. The quarterback, Jimmy G, Richard Sherman, George Kittle, Nick Bosa. They just had a ton of injuries to deal with. And it was something that they dealt with all season. But I really feel if this team was fully healthy, they will be right now contending for another Super Bowl spot. Next, we have the Chicago Bears. I'm going to put them at a C. That was horrendous how they looked defensively, especially in that first half against Green Bay. Offensively, I just really feel that the offense was regressing as far as taking shots. A lot of the game was short. The running game was still effective, but a lot of the passing game was short. And the defense, it's been on a downside at least the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to put them at a C, average at best, especially finishing at 8-8. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Their season overall, I'm going to put them in a D. Now, I like how this team plays hard. You could tell this team is devoid of a lot, especially on the offensive line. Receiver T. Higgins is really starting to come around. Running backs, you got Joe Mixon and Bernard, who's been solid. The offensive line needs to be worked. I think they have a lot of holes more on the defensive side of the ball that need to be addressed. But the offensive line needs to be addressed first. So this Bengals team, I feel it has talent, but I just don't think it's all starting to come around yet. But I'm going to put them at a D. Next, the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to put them at an A. I've been extremely high on this football team all season. They've been really, really hot the past couple of weeks. Josh Allen has put himself in MVP contention. Even though I don't think he's going to win it, he's definitely put himself up there. The defense, albeit it doesn't have a lot of household names, but Tre'Davious White and Jerry Hughes have been really big presences on this defense. Micah Hyde is a big presence as well. Stephon Diggs has been proven to be worth everything that they gave up to get him. Zach Moss and Singletary in the running game has been playing very well. The offensive line has been playing very well. And I feel that this team has the best shot at beating KC. And I actually think they can beat KC. I am really high on this Buffalo Bills football team. And if this team was to somehow make the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be surprised. And actually, I would be happy about it, to be 100% honest. Next, we're going to have the Denver Broncos. We're going to have this team at an F, our first F grade of the video. I'm not really a fan of this offense. Drew Lock, I don't still think he's the guy, to be honest with you guys. I'm not really sold on Drew Lock. The running game, it's been okay with Phillip Lindsay missing a lot of time. You have Melvin Gordon, who's came in and played some football. But I think with the injury to Cortland Sutton on offense, you have some defense with the injury to Von Miller. So I don't think this football team is necessarily at the bottom of the bottom, like Jaguars or somebody like that. But I'm just not a believer in Drew Lock, and I'm really not a believer in some of the moves that they made on the defensive side of the ball. Even though I do like Justin Simmons and Bradley Chubb, they still need room to improve. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to put Cleveland in a B, not an A, a B. I've been high on this football team as well. Stefanski has this team looking very, very good. You have Baker Mayfield, who's had some really good games this year. I really love what they're doing when pounding the rock with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I really love how they pound the rock. The defense has been, I want to say, hit or miss here and there. At the beginning of the year, Myles Garrett really looked like the contender for Defensive Player of the Year, but he came down with COVID, so that hurt his chances. Denzel Ward has been out of the lineup. So defensively, I still think they need to correct some things, but I really feel that this Cleveland Browns team offensively, if it starts to click and the running game is going, this team can really make some noise in the playoffs. Next, we're going to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm also going to put them at a B. This offense is really starting to click. Running game is really starting to pick itself up. Defensively, I've been one on record to say I still question the secondary. But outside of that, the front seven is really good with guys like Devontae David and Devin White. They have really been playing some really good football this year. So I'm going to put Tampa Bay at a B. Offense is clicking. AB is getting his rhythm going. Tom Brady is getting his rhythm going. And it's going to be a scary sight for this offense. Next, we're going to have the Arizona Cardinals. I'm also going to put them in a C. I just think this Cardinals team this season, they lost games where they lost too many of those close games. And if I think they would have turned some of those close games into victories, we could be talking about them in the playoffs instead of the Bears. I really feel that I was high on this Cardinals team coming into this season, but the loss of Chandler Jones did hurt defensively. They were struggling a little bit to get the pass rush going. So I'm going to put the Cardinals team in the C. I really love what DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray has been on offense. Kenyon Drake has been really pretty productive at the running back position. So the Cardinals team this season was a C. Next, we're going to have the LA Chargers after the firing of Anthony Lynn, which 100% I really don't agree with. But if I had to rank this Chargers football team, I'm going to put them at a D. Justin Herbert really took off. Defensively, they've dealt with a lot of injuries, whether it was Bosa, whether it was Ingram, whether it was Derwin James missing a year. They've dealt with a lot of injuries on that side of the football. They've dealt with injuries on all parts of the football. Keenan Allen having some struggles with injuries. So this team, I know it has talent going forward. You have Justin Herbert going forward. But this team dealt with a lot of injuries this year, and I really don't agree with the firing of Anthony Lynn. I just do not agree with it. Next, we're going to have the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to put them in an A. I mean, where else are you going to put this team with this offense with Mahomes, when you have Hill, when you have Kelsey, when you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire is probably coming back, Le'Veon Bell. This team offensively is dynamic. One thing I have questioned a little bit is their defense, but when you score so many points, you put a lot of teams playing from behind, and a lot of the teams in the NFL are not built to play from behind. So I really feel the only team that can compete with them, honestly, in the AFC would probably be Buffalo. But I still have a lot of questions to be answered defensively for the Kansas City Chiefs. If a team is really starting to take advantage of running the football on the Chiefs, they do have problems. But offensively, they are otherworldly offensively. Next, we're going to have the Indianapolis Colts. I'm also going to put them in a B. Their defense is elite. Offense can have some times where it struggles, but they have been a really productive offense as well. I really like some of the things that they're doing defensively with Xavier Rhodes and DeForest Buckner really being big pieces, as well as Darius Leonard. This defense is really elite. Offensively, they can be really good, especially if they go to ground and pound and let Phillip Rivers make the plays when he needs to make the plays. I think that's the best effective way for the Indianapolis Colts. But I really like what they have done defensively on this football team. And offensively, if they can pick up some consistency, they can make some noise as well. Next, the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to put them in an F. They had a lot of injuries. Dak Prescott being out. The defense not being very good at all. And this Cowboys team had a lot to deal with. Coaching change. You had a lot of players at the beginning of the year that were coming out and saying some negative things about the coaching staff. They play hard, but I just feel a lot of the injuries to the offensive line, a lot of injuries to the defense. You had Dak Prescott, who was playing at an MVP type of level before he broke his leg. This Cowboys team, I think it has a lot to correct going forward, so I'm going to have them in an F. Next, we're going to have the Miami Dolphins. I'm also going to put the Miami Dolphins at a C. It's unfortunate that they were the team that was left out in the playoffs at the 10-6 season. I still think Brian Flores should be considered coach of the year, in my opinion, because the Dolphins were not expected to be this type of football team coming into the year. And for him to elevate this football team to the level that they've been defensively, I think this has been their strong strength. Fitzpatrick or Tua, whoever has been a quarterback, has been solid. The running game has been really key with Balaj. And I really feel that this Miami Dolphins team has a lot to go for going forward. They have a lot to really play for. They're building on something there. So I'm going to put them at a C, and I think Brian Flores, in my opinion, should be the coach of the year. The Philadelphia Eagles, I'm going to put them in an F. And not just based off of what they did Sunday night against Washington. I don't even know what that was. Why would you even try to put Sudfeld in, especially when you're in a close game against a divisional rivalry in primetime football? That was a disgrace. Carson Wentz this year has not played like Carson Wentz. He regressed. The defense really wasn't very good. They dealt with a ton of injuries. This football team was depleted in a lot of areas. And the only thing is they haven't really addressed a lot of those areas either. So this football team is not very good. I'm going to put them in an F. And the next team that's going in this F category is the Atlanta Falcons. They blow way too many leads. They cannot play consistently good football. They haven't been able to close out games. Offensively, it's been a really decent offense. But defensively, I just don't think they have it there. It's this Atlanta Falcons football team. It's just almost like if teams have the lead, they know they can come back on them. They blew a couple of leads this season. Dallas, my Bears. They blew a lead against Tampa. They blew a lead against Kansas City. So this team is just a blowing lead city. Next, we have the New York Giants. I'm struggling between a D and an F for this football team. But I'm going to have to put them in a D. I do like some of the stuff I've been able to see from Daniel Jones. He does have, I'm not going to say he has the brightest future going forward, but if coached right and if moved right, I think he can be very productive. Defensively, this Giants team can use some work. Offensively, I think they could use some more weapons around Daniel Jones. And they get Saquon Barkley back next year, who tore his ACL in week 2. So I really think this Giants team has some things that can work for him going forward. But as far as this season goes, the running game was not very good. The defense is hit and miss here and there. So I'm going to put the Giants in a D. Next, we have the worst team in football, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're at an F. I mean, what more do you have to say? This football team had one win in week 1 and lost 15 straight games. Quarterback position, not very good. Defense, not very good. The offensive line, spotty. Wide receiver, I think Chenault and DJ Chark, they really have something to build on. Tyler Eifert, tight end position, he's usually hurt, but he has something to play for. But it's almost like, what do you even think about this football team? They're just bad. In all phases, they're just bad. And another team that's bad is the New York Jets. They've been bad. Started off the season 0-13. They won 2 straight games and then they lost. This team is awful. Thank God they got rid of Adam Gase. I don't know why it took them so long to do it, but this football team is just not good at all. Not good. Another bad watch, just like Jacksonville. Next, we're going to have the Detroit Lions. I'm going to put them at a D. Now, Matthew Stafford, I've always said, has been the most underrated quarterback in football. He has weapons offensively, but Kenny Golladay has missed some time with injuries, and as well as DeAndre Swift has missed some time with injuries. Matthew Stafford himself has had some injuries. Defensively, they've had a lot of injuries, especially in the secondary. Even though their defense is not very good to begin with, when you're having a lot of injuries to your core secondary, when Trufant and Jeff Okudah, his defense is just not very good. Patricia was fired middle of the year as long as the GM Quinn. But this Lions team is just not very good. And it's interesting to see what this team is going to do in the future with things going forward. Next up, the Green Bay Packers. How they looked against the Bears last week. Almost, oh boy. I hate to even speak praises of the Packers team, but Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to be the league MVP. The offense is clicking. I think the one negative thing you can say about the Green Bay Packers is if you get the running game going, you can really, really get some success on your football team, because their run defense has a tendency to struggle at times. So I think if you really run the football against Green Bay, that will be a big plus. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders. They're kind of similar, a little bit similar to Kansas City if they can put you behind and have you play catch up, and I think that's where their really strength. I think their strength is really there. So I'm going to put them in the A as much as it pains me to do it. Next, we're going to have Carolina. I'm going to put Carolina at a D. This defense is really good. I really feel the defense has a lot to grow on. Offensively, the rhythm has been in and out for majority of the season. They had Christian McCaffrey, who missed majority of the season with injuries. So this football team, I think it has a lot to look forward to going forward. I think this team is going to be continuously on the upswing and growing going forward. But I'm going to put them at a D. Next, we're going to have the New England Patriots. When have we ever been able to say the Patriots suck? When have we been able to say the Patriots missed the playoffs? Nah, since 2008, they haven't missed the playoffs, and even then, they didn't suck. So, I think this football team has a lot. They have a lot to acquire. Offensively, I think they're devoid of a lot of weapons, especially at the wide receiver position. Defensively, I think a lot of those opt-outs really, really hurt, especially with Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung. Their secondary is still the strength of their team, but I think they could use more up front on both sides, and they could use more at the wide receiver position. It's interesting to see what they're going to do with the quarterback position going forward. Cam Newton didn't really have a good year, so I'm going to put the New England Patriots at a D. Next, we have the I almost called myself the Oakland Las Vegas Raiders. I'm also going to put them in a C. This football team is literally, outside of the Bears, they're literally the definition of average. It's like 1 week they will be playing some really good football, they will look great, and then the next week they will get blown out. So it's just like this football team at the middle of the road is average. They are average at best. They play well and then they get blown out. They blow out and they play well. It's just like, what team are you going to get with this Las Vegas team? Derek Carr, I really like some of the things he was able to do this season. Nelson Aguilar had a resurgent year. Josh Jacobs in the running game has been playing very well. But the weakest spot of this Vegas Raiders team is pass rush. They struggled all year to create any type of pass rush. And they've dealt with a lot of injuries in the secondary as well. So I'm going to put them in a C. Next, we have them going to LA Rams. Going to put them in a B. This team, I think, is a really, really dangerous team, especially with the way that Sean McVay is able to convey a game plan with their offense. Jared Goff has had a solid season. It's interesting to see if he's going to be back for the playoffs. Defensively, Aaron Donald is an absolute beast. Absolute beast. Their defense, and Jalen Ramsey as well, I think is the best shutdown corner in football. Leonard Floyd had a resurgent season for them as well. And they've been able to create a lot of turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. So this LA Rams team can really be dangerous in the playoffs. I'm going to put them at a B. And the next up, I'm going to put the Baltimore Ravens also at a B as well. Now, one thing that I've always said about this football team is their ability to throw the ball outside the numbers and throw the ball deep down the field. But the way they play football is built more likely for the playoffs. It's interesting to see how teams will defend Lamar Jackson and the Ravens passing game come this playoff time. It's interesting to see how teams will defend that. But my biggest worry about them is being able to really consistently throw the football. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson's a bad quarterback. I'm not saying that at all. I just feel that this team needs to really, really start attacking outside the numbers, because last year's playoff showed if you take away that outside game and you start to take away the running game, it's going to be really hard for this Baltimore Ravens team to move the football. So that's always been my question on them. Defensively, they're very, very good. They are a very, very good defense. But that one problem always is lingering there for me. Next, we're going to have the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to put them at an A. I really like what this team is doing with Drew Brees. I really like what the running back position with Alvin Kamara is. Interesting to see if he's able to come back this week against the Bears. But as far as this season goes, I'm going to put them in an A. Kamara has been all the worldly as far as the things that he can do, not only just running the football, but the things he's able to do in the passing game. And them having Michael Thomas out for the majority of the season due to the ankle injury, and them still being able to be a productive offense. Defensively, they have really been better than what I expected. It's on the defensive side of the ball. Cam Jordan having a really good season. Davis in the middle has had a really good season as well. So this Saints team is very, very dangerous and very, very scary. And it's interesting to see if Kamara comes back this week. Seattle, I'm going to put them at a B. I'm more trepidized of what they're going to do offensively. Defensively, excuse me. Jamal Adams has been otherworldly when he has been in the lineup. But I'm just interested to see if this defense can hold up, this defense can maintain. I'm interested to see if this offensive line can pick it up. But Russell Wilson has moments where he was the MVP. The running game for the Seattle Seahawks has really been consistent for this football team. And I like the things that they've been able to do offensively. It's just defensively, it's been spotty at times this season. So I'm going to put them at a B. Next, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm also going to put them at a B. Mainly because, not even because of the losing streak, is because the way they were figured out during that losing streak. I really think that the short passing game for them was really figured out. They started off the season the hottest team in football, but I just really feel that some part in that Baltimore game is when teams really started to learn how to defend them. It took them a while to adjust to those defenses that were playing that type of style against them. Offensively, the running game, I feel, kind of dwindled towards the end of the season. So I really feel that this football team is still very dangerous, but I just really feel that the running game has to get going. The defense has to make a little bit more plays to offset some of the offensive deficiencies in running it. So I really feel that this team is still dangerous, but I have them at a B. Next is Houston Texans. They have been bad, and I did not expect them to be that bad this year, but Deshaun Watson has proven himself to be one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. It's interesting to see what this team is going to do for with GM and head coach Bill O'Brien being fired in the middle of the year. But this defense needs a lot of work. Offensively, they need some weapons, and DeAndre Hopkins trade is still the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But they have something to build with going forward with Deshaun Watson being your quarterback. Next, the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to put this team in a B. Their style of football, I feel, translates offensively, that is, with pounding the rock and attacking you in the passing game when need be. Now, defensively, this team is not, I want to say, there's bottom half defensively, which is kind of strange coming from a Mike Vrabel coach football team. And speaking of Mike Vrabel, he's done a really good job with this football team with all the stuff that they've dealt with earlier in the season. But this style of football that they play with, pounding the rock with Derrick Henry, who rushed for 2,000 yards, the only 8th player to do that. So shout out and congratulations to him on that accomplishment. But I really feel that this football team has a lot to be questioned as far as their defense goes. But offensively, their style of football translates to the playoffs. And last but not least, we have the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to put them in a D. Their defense is not very good, but Dalvin Cook has a lot to build with the season he had. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen is going to turn out to be one of the better wide receiver duos in the game. Kirk Cousins has some moments where he played really, really well this season. But I think the really drawback of this football team is they have to improve on the defensive side of the football. The defense just was not very, very good this season. So these are my rankings for the end of the season. If you guys agree or disagree with any of these rankings, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Leave this video a like so we can help beat the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you've gotten to this point and you are not subscribed, go ahead right now, click that subscribe button, and click that notification bell so you can not miss a single video and you will be able to join the team. But that's all I've got. APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.